What's up, fellas? In the first video today, we're going to be talking about the Dallas Mavericks. We've done videos about them so far to this point in the season, but in this one, I want to talk about really the difficulty of their situation right now, and not just as it relates to some of the struggles they're having on the court this season, but they're just in a really awkward place roster-wise in terms of, what to prioritize, the present or the future. And we're going to be talking about that in today's video. But quickly, before we get started, I want to let you guys know that there will be a watch party tonight on this channel. I'll be live streaming on YouTube right here during the Nets-Clippers game tonight. I think it's around like 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll be live for a couple hours just hanging out, watching the game with you guys. So if that's something you want to do to hang out with me tonight, again, that'll be 7:30 p.m. Eastern time here on this channel. But really quickly, again, also before we get started, a couple of things I normally mention. Sub to the channel if you are new. If you are new here, what's up? My name is Tucker. I upload NBA content on this channel twice a day, every single day. You can also leave a like rating on the video, and you can check me out at various socials in a link tree down in the description below. With those things said, let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks. So, as we've talked about in the past, this team is just kind of in a strange spot because they went from a record-breaking offense last year, and that was one of the main things that propelled them towards, being a playoff team, being the 6th seed in the West last year, to this year being just kind of an average NBA offense with basically the same roster. I mean, the significant change here on paper was swapping out Seth Curry for Josh Richardson, but that shouldn't by itself make that much of a difference offensively. Now, yes, they've had other issues. They've had guys missing games because of protocols. They've had Kristaps Porzingis only playing in 10 games to this point in the season. So they've had other issues, but it's just odd how far they've fallen. Not only offensively, but defensively, they haven't been very good as well. And now they have one of the worst records in the Western Conference, and they've been really struggling on both ends of the floor. Now, last night, they got a lot of their guys back, and Kristaps Porzingis played, and they did still lose to the Phoenix Suns, which didn't necessarily make them feel any better, but at least they did look better in that game last night. But at the end of the day, the issue here is, what are they supposed to do this season? Because yes, they've got a borderline MVP caliber player right now, Luka Doncic, who's just in his 3rd season. He's in his early 20s, and that is an incredible thing to have. And you don't want to mess that up. You want to capitalize on that. You don't want to give Luka any opportunity to be unhappy. That is just the reality of the modern NBA with as much player movement as there is. But you also want to make sure that you have a significant future as well for someone like Luka to look forward to. So for Dallas, ordinarily in this type of situation, you might think, oh, well, they need to go and get some help. Clearly, there are issues on this roster. We don't know what's exactly is going to be the future of Kristaps Porzingis. They need to go and get somebody to really help out this roster. And that's not a bad thought. But the problem is, again, as I mentioned, Luka is still so young. He's in his early 20s. And, their big opportunity, the beauty of this entire Mavs situation from the time they went and got Kristaps Porzingis was the fact that they were going to go into this offseason with max cap space in addition to having Luka and Porzingis on the roster. And if you start making a move this year, that's going to take away that max cap space and potentially lower the ceiling of this group just to help this team out this year, which, yes, they should be better than they are, but it's not like they're championship contenders necessarily right now. So how do you balance those two things? How do you prioritize the future as well as the present? And I'm not really sure how you do that if you're Dallas, if I'm completely honest, because, if you go out and get somebody, because they have the expirings to do it. Like if there's a player on a big contract that another team kind of doesn't really want anymore, but, Dallas sees value there, like they can trade Tim Hardaway Jr. and James Johnson and go and get somebody, on a big number to come in and help them out, whether that be like Kemba Walker or whoever, whatever the case may be. But that then once they make that, like whatever the next move is for Dallas, whether it be via trade, whether it be in free agency, unless it involves Kristaps Porzingis, whatever the next move they make is going to be their last move. That's going to be the final piece of the puzzle for the next couple of seasons with this Mavs team, because they're limited in terms of assets on the roster. They're limited in terms of draft pick assets. So they need to choose their next move carefully. And I'm not convinced that it's the right move to go out and get somebody this season for a team that has a star player as young as Luka that already owes 2021 and 2023 draft picks to the New York Knicks as a result of acquiring Kristaps Porzingis in the first place. So that shows you the difficulty of the situation right now in Dallas. Is your team is struggling, and there's this impulse to just immediately go out and say, okay, we can't be this bad. We were the 6th seed last year. We were a nice little surprise. We're supposed to be a playoff team, albeit in a tough Western Conference. We're supposed to be a team competing for the postseason, and that's just not happening right now. So we need to go and get somebody, the future is at least a little bit irrelevant in that scenario. And I understand that mindset. But if winning 7 extra games this season sacrifices the potential long-term future and ceiling of this team, that obviously isn't worth it. Because yes, it sucks to be in this situation right now. And part of you maybe does worry about the happiness of Luka Doncic, because that is just the way the NBA is now, although typically it's a little bit different with international players. As soon as, you get a big-time player like Luka, you immediately start worrying about their happiness and about their willingness to stay, with your particular franchise. And I understand, the nervousness that would cause, and say, we need to go get somebody before Luka becomes unhappy. But what would probably make him more unhappy is if this season turns into something that is now happening over multiple seasons, where you're not close to contention for the next few years, and then you're worrying about, the happiness of Luka in a more significant way. Because realistically, he's not going anywhere for the next couple of seasons. He's going to do the thing that every single big-time rookie does. They sign the big max deal. They're with their first team for at least 5 years. They sign a contract at the end of their rookie deal. They're under contract for like their first 8 years with their initial team. They might not stay on their team for all first 8 years, but they're at least signing that extension. So realistically, he's not going anywhere just yet. So that doesn't really need to be a huge concern. And I would rather focus on the future. And I know that it sucks to sit there and you're 8-13 and you thought you would be better. But I think the move here is anything that does not involve Luka or Kristaps Porzingis. The moves need to be focused on, yes, you can try and improve the roster this year. That's fine. But don't give up future draft capital, and don't mess with your cap space in 2021. If you want to move some pieces around and go and get another player that has an expiring contract, I think that's fine. And the only exception to the things I just laid out would be if you want to go and get someone like Bradley Beal or whoever, and you want to give up, expiring young players and future picks, and then that's the move that you make as a guy that is a huge ceiling raiser for your group on the same level that a possible free agent would be in 2021, then that would be a deal that would make sense to me. But if you're just going to go and get Kemba and use up all your cap space just to go and get him, that doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. That would be something that I would caution against. Now, the other thing to consider here as it relates to the Dallas Mavericks specifically in free agency is the fact that they've had issues in the past capitalizing on bringing in big time free agents, unless you count DeAndre Jordan and Chandler Parsons. And, we've talked about this a couple of times over the season. The 2021 free agency class isn't what it used to be. And you could convince yourself that maybe, whatever options you have during the year, even if it's not Beal, even if it is someone like Kemba Walker, that addition is better than whatever you could get in 2021 free agency, because outside of Kawhi, things are looking a little rough. Now, I would say that, someone like Victor Oladipo or something like that would be a really nice move for this group, but I could see if you're the Mavs, talking yourself into this idea that, maybe it does make sense to go ahead and make a move this season, because the other options in 2021 free agency, even though it's nice to keep open that cap space, aren't necessarily all that exciting. Now, the counter to that would be, yes, the top level players aren't that exciting, but in theory, you already have 2 top level players, assuming Porzingis can get healthy and be really, really good. So that shouldn't be that much of an issue, and then you go out and get some really good complementary guys with this cap space. But at the end of the day, it's just a weird and it's an awkward situation, because ordinarily, if the whole cap space thing wasn't a thing, then, the Mavs would be looking to make a move right now. And I think that they've been relatively aggressive over the last couple months in trying to find another guy to bring in while preserving that cap space. But if that cap space wasn't a thing, I think that you would see them have already made a move this season, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll go against everything I'm saying in this video, and they'll go out and get somebody, and they aren't really that worried about their 2021 cap space anymore, at least in terms of preserving a max slot, because there aren't really that many max caliber players in that free agency class anymore. All those things are absolutely possible, but I just wanted to highlight kind of the weirdness and the awkwardness of the situation right now in Dallas. Ultimately, if I'm a Mavs fan, I wouldn't be worried about Luka, potentially leaving. I'd be way more worried about Kristaps Porzingis potentially not really doing much for your team long term than I would be worried about anything Luka related. So keep an eye on this Mavs team. We'll kind of see what they're looking like moving forward and what moves they could possibly make throughout this season as well. But that is going to be the end of the first video of today, and I thank you all very much for watching. As I said earlier, be on the lookout for that watch party tonight around 7:30, 8 o'clock Eastern time on this channel. And it would be awesome to have a lot of you guys come through and just hang out as we watch the Nets-Clippers game. It's on ABC. It's a national TV game, so everybody should be kind of able to, watch it along with me, and it'll be a fun time. But as I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. If you're looking for consistent NBA content, this is a great place to be. You can leave a like rating on the videos as well, and you can check me out at those social medias at the bottom of the screen in that link tree in the description below. With all those things said, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.